Beneath the towering stones and silent circles lie the hands, minds, and imaginations of those who first envisioned these monumental creations. The builders of megaliths are often shrouded in mystery, their names lost to time, their voices unheard except through the traces of labor they left behind. Yet through careful study, we begin to glimpse the ingenuity, patience, and determination that allowed them to shape stone on a scale that continues to astonish us today. These early architects had no cranes, no power tools, and often no written language to record their designs. Still, they conceived structures of such precision and permanence that modern engineers struggle to comprehend how it was possible. The mind of the ancient builder becomes a bridge between the known and the unknown, a testament to human creativity intertwined with the natural world. In every region where megaliths rise, there is a unique story of ingenuity. In the rolling hills of northern Europe, people lifted massive stones into perfectly vertical positions, aligning them with celestial events and landscape features with startling accuracy. On distant islands, where isolation heightened both necessity and imagination, communities shaped rock into figures and monuments that communicated both reverence and authority. Even without formal mathematics, these builders seem to possess an innate understanding of balance, leverage, and structural integrity. It is as if their minds were attuned to the rhythm of the earth itself, capable of translating natural intuition into enduring form. The contrast between the simplicity of their tools and the sophistication of their constructions is striking, prompting a quiet awe that lingers long after one leaves the stones behind. One cannot overlook the cultural and spiritual dimensions that likely motivated these endeavors. For many ancient peoples, stone was more than a building material. It was a medium of connection to ancestors, deities, and the forces of nature. The act of moving, shaping, and erecting these stones may have been a ritual as much as a practical task. Every effort, from quarrying to precise placement, could carry meaning beyond the physical. A prayer carved in granite, a tribute to the earth, or a marker of cosmic cycles. In this light, the megalith becomes both artifact and symbol, an enduring testament to a civilization's worldview and its understanding of the universe. The line between practical architecture and spiritual expression is blurred, reinforcing the aura of mystery that surrounds these ancient structures. The scale of these undertakings is astonishing. Some stones weigh tens of tons, and the labor to transport and erect them would have required the coordinated effort of entire communities. Evidence suggests that sophisticated systems of ropes, wooden rollers, earthen ramps, and sheer human ingenuity made it possible. It is not merely the act of moving stone that captivates, but the organization, planning, and social cohesion required to accomplish it. These projects were not individual endeavors. They were collective expressions of purpose, ambition, and perhaps devotion. Imagining generations working side by side, weathering seasons, hunger, and the passing of leaders, brings into focus the remarkable persistence that human societies have demonstrated throughout history. Even as we study these techniques, questions remain. How did these builders, without written blueprints, achieve such consistent precision across continents and millennia? How did they coordinate alignment with astronomical phenomena, like solstices or the path of specific stars, long before the advent of telescopes or modern calendars? Archaeological evidence hints at sophisticated observation, meticulous record-keeping and memory, and perhaps even a system of teaching that passed knowledge down through generations. Yet much of it remains elusive. Every megalith stands as a silent puzzle piece, offering clues but withholding full explanation. The mystery becomes part of the fascination, the knowledge we have only amplifying the questions we have yet to answer. Across different regions, the methods employed reveal both diversity and shared principles. In some cultures, stones were split and shaped with hammerstones, their surfaces meticulously dressed to fit together without mortar. In others, natural shapes were selected for their balance and stability, requiring minimal alteration yet achieving perfect harmony. It is a delicate dance between human intervention and the natural qualities of the stone itself. The builders seemed to recognize properties of weight, density, and friction intuitively, translating observation into practice. They created structures that could endure earthquakes, floods, and centuries of wind and rain, challenges that modern engineers must carefully calculate. It is a quiet marvel, a reminder that human intellect has always sought to engage with nature rather than dominate it. Stories and myths hint at the social and ceremonial importance of these builders. In some legends, giants or divine hands are credited with placing the stones, a poetic acknowledgement of human effort that seems almost beyond comprehension. Such stories may exaggerate, yet they reflect a recognition that creating megaliths was no small feat. The labor, the skill, and the communal coordination were extraordinary, inspiring awe even in the generations that followed. Each stone, each arrangement, becomes a dialogue between the tangible and the intangible, between what humans could physically achieve and what they hoped to communicate across time. In this interplay, history becomes alive, a living narrative inscribed in granite, sandstone, or basalt. As we reflect on the minds behind these structures, we are invited into a quiet meditation on human aspiration. The builders were not merely erecting stones. They were shaping permanence, challenging mortality, and creating a conversation across centuries. Their work bridges the ephemeral and the eternal, connecting us to a past that is at once distant and deeply human. We sense their intentions, their frustrations, and their triumphs, even as the details of their lives remain largely obscured. In their ingenuity, we find a reflection of our own desire to leave a mark, to be remembered, and to make sense of the world. By the end of this contemplation, the audience is poised to understand that megaliths are more than monuments. They are embodiments of human thought, creativity, and resilience. They are thresholds to ancient minds, inviting us to explore not only how they were built, but why they were built, and what they meant to those who undertook such immense labors. The stones whisper of skill and patience, of community and purpose, creating a seamless transition into examining the materials themselves, the stone's remarkable resilience, and the natural forces that these ancient architects sought to master. It is here, at the intersection of human ingenuity and geological endurance, that the next chapter of discovery begins. Beyond the hands that shape them lies the very essence of the stones themselves, their mineral cores holding stories older than humanity. Each megalith is more than a monument. It is a record of geological history, an enduring testament to the forces that formed it long before human eyes ever beheld it. Some stones were born deep within the earth, forged under unimaginable pressures, cooled slowly over millennia, and brought to the surface by the subtle movements of tectonic plates. Others emerge from riverbeds or coastal cliffs, sculpted by wind, water, and ice, shaped into forms that early builders would recognize as both useful and awe-inspiring. In every case, the stone carries within it the memory of the earth itself, a silent resilience that has allowed it to endure floods, earthquakes, and centuries of weathering while civilizations rose and fell around it. The choice of stone was not arbitrary. Builders seemed to understand, intuitively or through generations of trial and observation, which types of rock would stand firm against time and the elements. Granite, with its crystalline strength, could bear immense weight without cracking. Sandstone, though softer, could be carefully carved and positioned to resist erosion if placed wisely. Even the orientation and placement of each block took into account the subtle interactions with wind, rain, and shifting soils. In this way, the builder's artistry was inseparable from the natural characteristics of the stones themselves, a partnership between human intention and geological reality. The harmony between the two creates a quiet awe, a reminder that endurance is rarely the work of a single force, but of a delicate balance across many. Consider the weathering patterns etched across the surfaces of these ancient monoliths. In some regions, Centuries of wind and rain have polished the stones, softening edges and revealing striations that trace the slow passage of time. In others, frost and heat have fractured surfaces, yet the overall integrity remains. Each mark tells a story: a flash flood that swept across a plain, a lightning strike that scarred a standing stone, centuries of temperature shifts compressing and expanding the rock with almost imperceptible precision. Despite these relentless forces, the stones endure, their presence unchanged in form, if not in subtle texture, from the time of their erection. It is in this quiet endurance that we see a contrast between fragility and permanence, a theme that will echo throughout the journey of discovery. The resilience of these stones also extends to their interactions with the earth beneath them. Foundations were carefully considered, often in places where natural rock formations could provide stability. Some stones were positioned on bedrock, others in shallow pits filled with gravel or sand, techniques that minimized sinking or tilting over centuries. In certain sites, the arrangement of stones even suggests an understanding of drainage and soil compaction, preventing erosion from undermining the structures. The ancient builders, without modern engineering tools, seem to instinctively know how to harness the earth itself as a partner in permanence. The narrative here is subtle but profound. The survival of megaliths is as much about selecting the right stone as it is about understanding the land it touches. Some megaliths, especially those crafted from particularly dense or cohesive rock, have withstood catastrophic events that would have toppled lesser constructions. Volcanoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis have reshaped entire landscapes. Yet these stones remain upright and resolute. The natural durability of the rock is inseparable from its placement, orientation, and the collective wisdom embedded in its construction. Here lies a remarkable contrast. While humans in their fragile dwellings succumb to forces beyond their control, these stones endured, silent witnesses to destruction and renewal. The narrative invites contemplation. Perhaps the builders recognized, on some level, the qualities that would allow their monuments to persist where human works could not. Even subtle properties of the stones played a role in their endurance. Porosity, density, and the internal structure of minerals influenced how they absorbed or deflected water, heat, and stress. Some stones, when carefully positioned, allowed rainwater to flow harmlessly along natural grooves, preventing erosion. Others were chosen for their weight distribution, balancing immense loads in a manner that modern engineers would admire. In some instances, the arrangement of multiple stones created a collective stability far greater than the sum of its parts. This speaks to an almost intuitive grasp of physics, an understanding that nature's own laws could be harnessed to ensure survival. It is as though the builders were conversing silently with the earth, negotiating a design that would endure beyond their lifetimes. The interaction of stone with light, air, and temperature adds another layer to its quiet majesty. Sunlight shifts across the surfaces, casting ever-changing patterns that hint at hidden alignments and symbolic meaning. Frost glazes, morning dew, and seasonal shadows reveal contours that might have held ritual significance. Even in darkness, the presence of stone is felt, a sense of weight, permanence, and stability that transcends vision. The stones become anchors in the landscape, connecting the terrestrial and the cosmic, the known and the unknown. The calm, immersive tone of this reflection mirrors the experience of standing among them, sensing the slow pulse of time as it has etched itself into rock and memory alike. In examining these enduring structures, one begins to see a dialogue between human ambition and geological wisdom. The stones are not merely inert. They respond to forces around them in ways that amplify their longevity. Some researchers speculate that ancient builders may have observed patterns of natural durability over generations, learning which formations withstood storms, floods, and shifting soils. Others suggest that certain placements were symbolic, aligning with celestial cycles or marking sacred spaces, and that this symbolism coincidentally contributed to structural longevity. The truth may lie somewhere in between, an intricate blend of observation, experimentation, intuition, and cultural reverence for the earth. The stones, in their quiet fortitude, embody the intersection of nature and human intention, creating monuments that endure far beyond the temporal lives of those who raised them. As we step back from the physicality of the stones themselves, the audience is invited to consider their role as witnesses to history. These monoliths have silently observed countless changes in climate, geography, and human civilization. They have endured fires, floods, and the slow creep of moss and lichen, all while maintaining a presence that is simultaneously monumental and intimate. Their resilience is a mirror, reflecting the ingenuity, patience, and wisdom of their builders. It is a quiet yet powerful reminder that permanence, in both nature and human endeavor, is rarely accidental. It is earned through a delicate harmony of materials, knowledge, and respect for the world in which one builds. The narrative of stone and time naturally prepares us to consider the forces of catastrophe themselves, the floods, earthquakes, and upheavals that these enduring structures have silently withstood. If the stones are witnesses, then what tales of destruction and survival do they hold? The exploration of their geological resilience becomes a gateway to understanding how they endured not only the passage of years, but the violence of a young and turbulent planet. In the stillness of these ancient monoliths, we begin to hear whispers of the earliest disasters, setting the stage for the next chapter of discovery. Long before the first human hand carved stone into a megalith, the earth itself was already shaping a world of both awe and terror. Mountains rose and fell, rivers carved valleys, and vast oceans surged and receded in cycles that span millennia. The earliest disasters, catastrophic floods, violent earthquakes, relentless storms, and sudden volcanic eruptions, painted a planet in perpetual motion, a place where life and stone alike were tested against elemental force. These events, often beyond the comprehension of early humans, shaped landscapes, altered ecosystems, and erased entire communities in the blink of geological time. Yet amidst this chaos, the monoliths that would later rise would endure, silent witnesses to both human effort and the relentless power of the natural world. Floods, both gradual and sudden, were among the earliest and most pervasive challenges faced by ancient civilizations. Entire valleys could be swallowed by rising waters, fertile lands transformed into shifting marshes, and settlements swept away without warning. The stories of these floods echo across mythologies, tales of deluges sent by gods, oceans that swallowed cities, and rivers that could no longer be contained. Beneath the symbolic layers, however, lies scientific evidence of massive inundations caused by melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and catastrophic rainfall. In the face of such overwhelming forces, the endurance of megaliths becomes even more remarkable. Positioned on higher ground or carefully engineered to avoid the flood's full impact, these stones stood firm, resisting what destroyed the temporary dwellings and fragile constructions of humans. Earthquakes, too, left their indelible mark on early landscapes. The shifting of tectonic plates created tremors that could level entire villages, fracture roads, and topple unreinforced structures. For early humans, such events were terrifyingly unpredictable, and their destructive power seemed almost supernatural. And yet, in regions prone to seismic activity, megaliths often appear in configurations that minimize risk. Some stand with wide bases and low centers of gravity, while others are carefully interlocked, distributing weight in ways that absorb and dissipate shock. The contrast between human vulnerability and the quiet endurance of these stones underscores a profound understanding of nature, whether learned through observation, passed down through generations, or intuitively sensed. Volcanic eruptions added another layer of peril. Ancient eruptions could blanket landscapes in ash, rivers of molten lava consuming everything in their path, and pyroclastic flows racing faster than any human could flee. Entire ecosystems were altered, air became unbreathable, and sunlight dimmed for months or even years. Despite these violent upheavals, some megaliths survived, sometimes buried temporarily by ash and later revealed to the world, as if the earth itself had attempted to protect them. The contrast is staggering. Fragile human structures consumed in an instant, while carefully placed stones emerge largely intact, bearing the scars of fire and ash like badges of silent endurance. Even the more subtle, persistent disasters, erosion, shifting soils, prolonged droughts, and relentless storms, tested the resilience of both humans and the structures they built. While early dwellings succumbed to decay, these massive stones often resisted the cumulative effect of centuries of wind, rain, and temperature fluctuation. Their endurance creates a bridge between the known and the unknown, a quiet testament to how some forms of human labor, when combined with the right material and environmental awareness, can withstand what would obliterate less thoughtfully constructed works. It is a story not of invincibility, but of intelligent adaptation and, perhaps, a measure of luck. The mythology surrounding these disasters often mirrors the geological record, weaving narrative and history into a tapestry that is at once instructive and cautionary. Stories of sunken cities, drowned peoples, and angry gods may exaggerate the events, yet they preserve the memory of trauma, the lessons of survival, and the acknowledgement of forces beyond human control. In many regions, megaliths themselves may have served as markers, warnings, or protective symbols, silent statements of permanence in a world of impermanence. By studying the placement and orientation of these stones, modern researchers gain insight not only into construction techniques, but into the way ancient societies perceived and responded to natural catastrophe. The scale and suddenness of early disasters magnify the significance of the megaliths that survived. Consider the possibility that some of these stones witnessed entire communities vanish in a single event. Floods could reshape entire coastlines, volcanic eruptions could force migrations, and earthquakes could render fertile land uninhabitable. Yet the stones remained, towering and enduring, almost as if time itself had chosen to preserve them. This stark contrast between human vulnerability and geological resilience becomes a central theme in understanding the mystery of these structures. They are not simply remnants of ancient architecture. They are records of survival, resilience, and perhaps even foresight. Evidence from archaeology and geology often intersects in fascinating ways. Layers of sediment around megaliths can reveal past floods, while shifts in the surrounding earth can hint at earthquakes that would have toppled smaller structures. Volcanic ash preserved in nearby strata provides dates for eruptions, creating a timeline of catastrophe against which the stones endured. This meticulous record allows researchers to see, with a rare clarity, the endurance of these monuments across millennia of upheaval. Each surviving stone is a silent chronicle, a witness to the most extreme conditions the planet has offered, and a reminder that survival is both a matter of material and of placement, of design and perhaps of intuition. The narrative of disasters also serves to highlight the ingenuity of early civilizations in the face of uncertainty. Communities that built megaliths may have observed patterns, floodplains that remained safe, bedrock that withstood tremors, slopes that resisted landslides, and used this knowledge to select sites and orientations. Their choices reflect a deep understanding of the environment, a careful study of nature's forces long before such knowledge could be written down in books. In this way, the megaliths become more than static monuments. They are living lessons, architectural embodiments of ancient environmental wisdom, quietly surviving where human life and ephemeral structures did not. As the narrative unfolds, the viewer is invited to contrast the impermanence of human endeavors with the quiet resilience of stone. These early disasters, though terrifying and transformative, did not erase all traces of civilization. The megaliths stand as bridges across catastrophe, connecting us to the ingenuity, foresight, and labor of those who came before. In contemplating the endurance of these stones, we are led to reflect on the delicate interplay between human ambition and the forces of nature, between fleeting life and lasting legacy. This understanding sets the stage for exploring the remarkable sites where such resilience is visible, and where the megaliths continue to inspire awe, wonder, and the unending pursuit of understanding. Across continents and oceans, megaliths rise like silent witnesses, scattered across the landscape as if placed by an unseen hand. Each site offers a unique dialogue between human ambition and natural endurance, a conversation that has persisted for thousands of years. In Northern Europe, the great stone circles of the British Isles emerge from rolling fields and windswept moors, their massive stones arranged in patterns that align with solstices and celestial cycles. The stones themselves seem to hum with quiet purpose, marking time in ways that human calendars can scarcely measure. As the sun rises and sets, light passes across the surfaces, casting shifting shadows that remind visitors of both the precision and the mystery embedded in their arrangement. These megaliths are not merely monuments. They are portals into the minds of the builders, echoing the aspirations, rituals, and resilience of societies long vanished. In the heart of Anatolia, Göbekli Tepe stands as an extraordinary testament to early architectural sophistication. Its T-shaped pillars, carved with images of animals and abstract symbols, predate most known civilizations, suggesting a level of societal organization and symbolic thought that challenges conventional timelines. The arrangement of the stones, sometimes in concentric circles or carefully oriented alignments, speaks to intentionality far beyond mere utility. The reliefs carved into each pillar offer glimpses of a culture that revered its environment and perhaps sought to impose order on a world still subject to chaos and disaster. The mystery deepens as we consider the techniques used to lift and position such massive stones without the advantage of wheel or pulley. Here, the interplay between human ingenuity and geological stability becomes vividly apparent. The pillars endure despite millennia of exposure to wind, rain, and occasional seismic tremors. Along the coasts of Brittany, the Karnak stones extend for kilometers, rows upon rows of standing stones that stretch across the landscape like silent armies frozen in time. Their purpose remains a matter of debate, their construction a marvel of coordination and precision. Some stones are massive, weighing several tons, while others are smaller, yet each is deliberately placed to interact with its surroundings. Local legends speak of petrified soldiers or ancient rituals, blending myth with the enduring physicality of the stones. From the perspective of survival, Karnak exemplifies the delicate balance between human design and natural forces. Despite centuries of coastal storms and shifting soil, the alignment remains remarkably intact, offering a testament to observational knowledge and careful placement that enabled survival where lesser constructions might have succumbed. Halfway across the globe, on the isolated island of Easter, the Moai statues silently gaze across the volcanic landscape. These towering figures, carved from tuff and basalt, weigh tens of tons and stand perched on stone platforms overlooking the sea. They endured centuries of environmental stress, from wind and rain to occasional earthquakes, yet their presence remains imposing and largely intact. The choice of location, the use of stone platforms, and the apparent understanding of balance and leverage all contribute to their enduring stability. In contrast to other civilizations that perished under environmental pressures, the Moai continue to dominate the landscape, linking human artistry and foresight to the subtle wisdom of stone. Here, as elsewhere, the stone's resilience offers lessons in adaptation and the interplay of human knowledge with natural durability. In South Asia, the megalithic sites of India reveal another aspect of global resilience. Dolmens, stone circles, and menhirs are scattered across the Deccan Plateau and southern states, often positioned atop elevated terrain or along strategic ridges. These stones, sometimes simple and sometimes intricately carved, survive not only due to the inherent strength of the rock, but also because of deliberate placement in locations that minimize erosion and flooding. Archaeological studies indicate that communities understood seasonal water flow, soil composition, and local geology, aligning their constructions accordingly. This demonstrates a profound, almost intuitive grasp of environmental factors, a recognition that survival of the monument required both careful design and harmonious integration with the landscape. Africa, too, bears witness to human interaction with enduring stone. Sites like Nabta Playa in Egypt feature stone circles aligned with celestial events, suggesting an early understanding of astronomy intertwined with ritual and survival. These megaliths, placed on desert plains, have endured shifting sands, arid winds, and centuries of temperature extremes. The contrast is striking. Fragile settlements nearby may have vanished, leaving little trace, yet the stones remain, their alignment and structure largely intact. They serve as evidence that human foresight, observation, and careful selection of materials and placement can produce works that withstand the harshest of conditions, bridging both history and mystery. The Americas offer yet another perspective on megalithic resilience. The Olmec colossal heads of Mexico, carved from basalt transported across long distances, demonstrate not only artistic achievement, but also remarkable endurance. These monuments survived floods, shifting soils, and centuries of tropical weather, suggesting that early builders understood both the properties of the stone and the environmental challenges they faced. Similarly, in the Andean regions, stone terraces and walls constructed by the Inca have withstood centuries of seismic activity and rain, attesting to the effectiveness of interlocking stone techniques and precise placement. Across continents, the pattern becomes clear. Successful megalithic construction relies on observation, adaptation, and a respect for the natural world. What emerges from this global tour is a sense of continuity and contrast. While the materials and techniques differ, a shared principle connects all these structures: deliberate placement, understanding of local geology, and respect for natural forces allowed certain constructions to endure where others crumbled. Across oceans and eras, these stones have survived floods, earthquakes, storms, and human neglect, standing as silent witnesses to civilizations that have come and gone. They serve as both historical records and sources of mystery, inviting contemplation on the limits of human ingenuity and the quiet, enduring power of the earth itself. The poetic aspect of observing these sites cannot be understated. In the fading light of day, shadows stretch across the stones, highlighting their scale and the care with which they were arranged. The wind whispers through standing circles, carrying echoes of ceremonies, labor, and the passing of generations. There is a rhythm to these landscapes, a harmony between stone and environment that speaks to knowledge accumulated over lifetimes. Every site tells a story of resilience, not just of the stones themselves, but of the human societies that dare to shape them, aware of the dangers that could erase their work in a moment, yet committed to leaving a mark that would endure millennia. Through this mapping of resilient megaliths, the viewer comes to appreciate the intricate balance of factors that allowed some stones to survive the tests of time. Location, material, design, environmental observation, and collective labor all played critical roles. The narrative of endurance becomes a meditation on human determination and adaptation, a reminder that survival is as much about wisdom and foresight as it is about strength and size. And as we contemplate these sites, each unique, each ancient, each standing firm against the trials of the earth, we are prepared to explore the secrets hidden within their construction, the ingenuity that allowed them to endure, and the mysteries that remain unresolved. It is here, at the intersection of geography, human skill, and the forces of nature, that the next chapter of discovery begins. The construction of megaliths is a story of human ingenuity, patience, and an intimate understanding of the natural world, yet it is also a narrative laced with mystery. Standing before these ancient stones, one cannot help but marvel at the precision achieved without modern tools, machines, or written blueprints. How did early societies manage to lift tens of tons of rock, shape them with remarkable accuracy, and position them so that they have remained standing for thousands of years? Every stone, every alignment, every subtle contour speaks to a sophisticated engineering sensibility, a silent testament to intelligence honed through observation, trial, and an almost reverent study of nature. The mystery deepens with each detail, inviting contemplation of a knowledge that was practical, artistic, and perhaps even spiritual. In many megalithic sites, the stones appear to defy the limitations of ancient technology. Large blocks were often moved over considerable distances from quarries located miles away, requiring careful planning, coordination, and understanding of leverage. Wooden rollers, sledges, ropes, and earthen ramps are believed to have been employed, yet the exact methods remain debated among scholars. The ingenuity lies not only in moving the stones, but in placing them with astonishing precision. Some stones interlock, others balance in seemingly impossible positions, and still others are aligned with celestial bodies or distant landscape features. The techniques reflect a profound grasp of weight distribution, friction, and geometry, knowledge likely acquired through generations of observation and experimentation, passed down orally in a culture that valued skill, memory, and collective effort. Interlocking stones are a hallmark of enduring megalithic construction. In many regions, builders would carve stones to fit together with remarkable accuracy, creating structures that resisted both the forces of gravity and natural disasters. This technique not only stabilized the stones, but also allowed them to move slightly under stress, absorbing the energy of earthquakes or shifting soil without toppling. The joints themselves often display a meticulous attention to detail, with channels, notches, and wedges ensuring that each stone supports and is supported by its neighbors. Such interdependence demonstrates a holistic understanding of structural integrity, where the whole is stronger than the sum of its parts. It is a quiet, almost poetic reflection of human insight harmonized with natural laws. Weight distribution and balance were equally critical. In many megaliths, the placement of stones was not arbitrary. Massive blocks were often positioned with broader bases and narrower tops, a simple yet effective strategy to prevent tipping. Some cultures employed counterweights or subtle inclines, using gravity itself to stabilize enormous structures. Others placed stones on bedrock or prepared foundations that dissipated the weight across larger areas, preventing sinking or tilting. Even the choice of stone was significant. Dense, resilient rocks were preferred, and builders often selected shapes that naturally lent themselves to stability. The interplay of material, placement, and design reflects a remarkable awareness of physics, achieved long before formal scientific principles were codified. The engineering sophistication of these structures is also evident in the alignment and orientation of stones. Many megalithic sites exhibit astronomical alignments, with stones positioned to mark solstices, equinoxes, or the rising and setting of particular stars. Achieving such precision requires not only careful observation, but also an understanding of angular measurement and sight lines. Builders may have used natural landmarks, plumb lines, sighting poles, or water levels to achieve these orientations, translating celestial knowledge into enduring architecture. In doing so, they created a dialogue between earth and sky, embedding cosmic rhythms into stone. The result is an enduring monument that functions as both practical timekeeper and spiritual statement, bridging the material and the metaphysical. The subtle intelligence behind megalithic construction extends even to acoustic properties. In some stone circles and temples, the arrangement of pillars and walls creates reverberations that amplify sound, enhance ceremonial chants, or produce mysterious echoes. Such effects may have been intentionally harnessed to heighten ritual experiences, demonstrating an understanding of how stone interacts with sound. These sonic qualities, while secondary to stability, reflect a multidimensional approach to construction, blending engineering with sensory and symbolic considerations. The builders seem to have approached each project not merely as a physical task, but as a comprehensive orchestration of experience, integrating sight, sound, and environmental harmony. Transporting stones over long distances adds yet another layer of complexity to the narrative. From the basalt blocks of the Olmec heads to the limestone pillars of Göbekli Tepe, ancient builders achieved feats that challenge modern imagination. Evidence suggests the use of sledges lubricated with water or animal fat, rollers, and perhaps even temporary tracks. Coordinated labor, careful timing, and intimate knowledge of terrain would have been essential. Yet the successful delivery and placement of these massive stones demonstrate a sophisticated logistical intelligence, a capacity to organize human effort with precision and foresight. The stone's continued stability suggests that each stage of the process, from quarrying to final placement, was carefully calculated, blending human ingenuity with natural advantages. Even the tiniest details speak of extraordinary care. Some stones were polished to fit snugly against neighbors, reducing gaps that could destabilize the structure. Others were carved with symbolic imagery that required precision and attention over extended periods. Each cut, each positioning, each alignment seems to reflect a deep reverence for the material and the environment. There is a sense that the builders were not merely erecting stones, but conversing with them, understanding their properties and shaping them to endure. The resulting structures are not only functional and durable, they are beautiful, harmonious, and profoundly intelligent, inviting the observer to consider the mind that conceived them as much as the hands that built them. The question remains, however, how much of this knowledge was empirical, passed down through careful observation, and how much is lost to time? The precision and resilience of megaliths suggest a codified system of learning, perhaps involving apprenticeship, ritualized labor, and the careful recording of successful methods through practice rather than writing. The collective intelligence of communities, combined with environmental awareness and spiritual motivation, created results that defy modern expectations. It is this blend of technical skill, observation, and cultural context that continues to fascinate archaeologists, engineers, and historians alike. The stones endure as a testament not just to physical labor, but to a profound understanding of the natural world and human potential. The engineering marvels of megalithic construction create a bridge to the next layer of mystery, the symbolic and spiritual significance of the stones. Beyond their remarkable physical endurance, these structures were imbued with meaning, serving as sites of ritual, community gathering, and celestial observation. Their placement, orientation, and design reflect a careful negotiation between the practical, the ceremonial, and the cosmic. The silence of stone invites reflection, encouraging the viewer to contemplate the profound intelligence that informed both the structural and symbolic dimensions of these enduring monuments. It is here, in the intersection of human ingenuity and mysterious purpose, that the story of megaliths reaches its most compelling depth, preparing the audience to explore the myths and memories encased within these ancient stones. Long after the labor of lifting, shaping, and placing stone was complete, the megaliths assumed a role that went beyond the physical. They became vessels of meaning, repositories of myth and memory, bridging the tangible and the intangible. Across cultures, these stones inspired stories, legends, and rituals that transformed simple rock into living narratives. In the British Isles, tales speak of giants who once walked the land, setting stones into place with supernatural strength. In Anatolia, the intricate carvings of Göbekli Tepe have led scholars to speculate about ceremonies that shaped community identity, governance, and the earliest forms of ritualized worship. Each stone became a symbol, a silent storyteller whose voice was carried through generations not in words, but in awe, reverence, and ritual practice. Megaliths often occupy liminal spaces, thresholds between the earthly and the cosmic, the known and the unknowable. The alignment of stones to solstices, equinoxes, and celestial bodies reflects a profound desire to understand time, cycles, and human place within the cosmos. In some legends, the stones themselves were seen as sentient, imbued with the wisdom of ancestors or spirits that could observe, judge, or guide. Communities may have gathered around these monuments for ceremonies marking the changing of seasons, the arrival of rains, or the birth of leaders. The stones became central to societal rhythm, silently orchestrating the passage of life and reinforcing the connections between people, the environment, and the forces they could neither predict nor control. Across the globe, megaliths inspired reverence that transcended generations. In Brittany, the Karnak stones are wrapped in tales of petrified soldiers, a poetic acknowledgement of human effort made monumental. In India, dolmens and menhirs carry associations with ancestral spirits, with offerings and rituals performed to honor those who had come before. On Easter Island, the Moai statues are said to embody mana, a spiritual force that maintains the health and prosperity of communities. These stories, while varying in detail, share a common thread. They reflect a human need to connect with permanence, to anchor memory and identity in something enduring amidst the uncertainty of life. In each legend, the stone is not inert. It is participant, witness, and guide. The myths surrounding megaliths often intertwine with natural disasters, hinting at a collective understanding of human vulnerability. Tales of floods, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions are embedded in the stories, attributing survival or endurance to divine intervention, ancestral wisdom, or mystical forces. In this way, the stones become more than markers. They are symbols of resilience, standing firm against forces that could obliterate communities. They remind us that humans have long sought to interpret calamity not only scientifically but spiritually, finding meaning in endurance and hope in permanence. Through myth, these stones convey lessons about foresight, preparation, and the mysterious ways the world can both challenge and protect. The interplay between myth and memory transforms each site into a multi-layered narrative landscape. Archaeologists uncover evidence of construction techniques, while anthropologists and historians interpret ritual and societal significance. Together, these perspectives reveal that megaliths functioned on multiple planes: practical, spiritual, and symbolic. They guided social cohesion, reinforced hierarchical structures, and preserved cultural knowledge. Oral traditions, storytelling, and ritual practice allowed the meaning of the stones to endure even as the original builders vanished. In this sense, megaliths are not just monuments. They're living bridges across time, connecting modern observers to ancient consciousness and collective human experience. Legends surrounding megaliths often emphasize the miraculous or impossible, reflecting the scale of human effort involved. Stories of gods or giants moving massive stones underscore the awe these structures inspired. Even when science provides explanations, rollers, sledges, ramps, the narratives persist, speaking to the human tendency to mythologize extraordinary achievement. In essence, the stones themselves become catalysts for imagination, sparking questions about human capability, divine influence, and the interface between reality and belief. This duality, practical engineering and fantastical narrative, enhances the mystery, keeping observers captivated across centuries. Megaliths also carry moral and cultural memory, serving as anchors for communal identity. In some societies, they mark territorial boundaries, sacred spaces, or burial grounds, ensuring that history is not lost to the shifting tides of time. Their silent presence enforces continuity, connecting generations and offering a sense of belonging. People interact with these stones not only physically but symbolically, drawing lessons, invoking protection, or participating in ceremonial rites. This relationship between humans and enduring stone illustrates the profound capacity of material objects to shape thought, belief, and memory across millennia. The enduring fascination with megaliths lies in their combination of mystery, history, and symbolism. Unlike artifacts hidden in tombs or fragile manuscripts, these stones confront the observer with scale, permanence, and silence. They demand contemplation, inviting viewers to consider not only what they are and how they were made, but what they meant and continue to mean to countless generations. Each stone tells multiple stories at once. The story of human labor, the story of survival against natural forces, and the story of imagination and spirituality that transforms matter into meaning. Standing before them, one feels the weight of history and the gentle whisper of myths that refuse to fade. Even in the absence of complete historical records, the myths themselves offer insight into human psychology and cultural priorities. They reveal a collective understanding of mortality, nature, and the cosmos. They highlight the human desire to preserve legacy, to create symbols that speak across time, and to find meaning in structures that endure where life is fleeting. In weaving tales around megaliths, ancient societies codified memory, encoded knowledge, and expressed values that transcend individual lifetimes. The stones serve as anchors not only of physical stability, but of cultural continuity, standing firm as repositories of communal identity and spiritual significance. Through these layers of myth and memory, the audience begins to perceive the megaliths as dynamic participants in human history rather than static relics. They are both witnesses and storytellers, bridging generations, disasters, and civilizations. The legends invite reflection on resilience, creativity, and the interplay between human effort and natural forces. Each site becomes a meditation on permanence, a meditation that continues to unfold as we explore further, the practical, the mysterious, and the symbolic intertwined in stone. From here, the narrative naturally transitions into an exploration of the rituals, ceremonies, and daily interactions that communities built around these enduring monuments, deepening our understanding of the human story encoded within stone. Beyond the myths and stories, megaliths were often central to the lived experience of ancient communities, shaping daily life, ritual, and cultural identity in ways that remain both mysterious and profoundly human. These stones were not merely monuments to be observed from a distance. They were spaces of gathering, reflection, and performance, locations where the practical and the spiritual intertwined. Seasonal rituals, astronomical observations, and communal ceremonies often revolved around the placement and alignment of megaliths, transforming stone from inert material into an active participant in the rhythm of human life. The act of engaging with the stones, whether through labor, ritual, or observation, imbued them with layers of meaning that persist even in their silent endurance today. In many regions, the alignment of stones dictated the timing of agricultural cycles, festivals, and ceremonial events. Sunrises and sunsets on solstices and equinoxes were marked with precision, and the positions of celestial bodies guided planting, harvesting, and communal gatherings. Standing at the center of a circle or beside a towering monolith during these events, participants would witness the interplay of light, shadow, and stone, transforming everyday perception into a ritualized experience of cosmic order. This blending of practicality and spirituality created a sense of harmony with the natural world, a recognition that human life is entwined with the movements of the heavens and the rhythms of the earth. In this way, megaliths became living calendars, instruments of both observation and ceremony, sustaining knowledge across generations. Burial practices and commemorations often centered on megalithic sites, further linking stone to human experience. Dolmens, passage tombs, and other monumental grave markers provided a place for reflection, mourning, and the celebration of life. The act of placing the deceased within these structures, sometimes alongside grave goods or offerings, reinforced social hierarchies, community cohesion, and spiritual belief. Each interment became a moment where stone, human effort, and ritual intersected, creating an enduring record of both mortality and memory. Over centuries, repeated visits, ceremonies, and interactions reinforced the significance of the stones, transforming them into living monuments that carried the emotional and cultural weight of generations. Communal labor itself, was a ritualized act in many cases, with the construction of megaliths serving as a unifying force. The process of quarrying, transporting, and erecting massive stones required coordination, cooperation, and shared purpose. Songs, chants, or rhythmic movements may have been used to synchronize efforts, imbuing physical labor with spiritual and social meaning. In this sense, the act of building was as important as the structure itself, with each stone representing not just a physical object, but a testament to collective will and shared identity. The stones, once in place, embodied the social cohesion and ingenuity of the community, becoming silent reminders of both effort and achievement. Megaliths also functioned as markers of territorial, social, or sacred spaces, subtly guiding human behavior and interactions. Certain alignments may have delineated ceremonial boundaries, paths of pilgrimage, or zones of restricted access. By positioning stones in relation to natural features, settlements, or other monuments, communities created a landscape imbued with meaning, where movement and presence were regulated by both practical and spiritual considerations. The stones became intermediaries between the human and the natural, the mundane and the sacred. Their presence communicated both permanence and authority, reinforcing communal values and ensuring continuity across generations. In addition to ritual and practical purposes, megaliths often serve as sites of storytelling and cultural transmission. Oral traditions, songs, and performances likely took place in and around these stones, linking historical memory with contemporary experience. The stones themselves may have acted as mnemonic devices, their shapes, alignments, or carvings helping to encode complex knowledge about astronomy, agriculture, law, or spiritual practice. By embedding information in a tangible, permanent medium, ancient societies ensured that crucial knowledge survived across generations, even in the absence of written records. In this way, megaliths functioned as both classroom and cathedral, preserving lessons that extended far beyond the immediate visual or ritual impact. Archaeological evidence suggests that certain megaliths were used repeatedly over centuries, with successive generations adding new layers of meaning. Additional stones, carvings, or structures were sometimes integrated into existing sites, reflecting both continuity and adaptation. Communities maintained, renovated, or even reoriented parts of these sites, demonstrating an awareness of the symbolic and practical significance of their surroundings. These interactions speak to a dynamic relationship between humans and their monuments. The stones were not static objects, but evolving participants in cultural life, accumulating meaning through use, memory, and ceremony. The endurance of the physical stone paralleled the endurance of cultural identity, intertwining survival and symbolism in ways that modern observers continue to study and admire. The sensory experience of interacting with megaliths was also carefully considered. Acoustics, sight lines, and spatial arrangement created environments that enhanced ritual impact. In stone circles, chants may have echoed with resonance, creating a shared auditory experience that deepened communal cohesion. Shadows cast by the rising or setting sun could highlight carvings, entrances, or alignments at specific times, guiding perception and framing human activity in harmony with natural phenomena. Even the tactile qualities of stone, its weight, texture, and temperature, played a role in shaping human engagement. In this way, the stones acted as instruments of multisensory experience, their design engaging the body, mind, and spirit simultaneously. In some cases, megaliths also facilitated social hierarchy and governance. Certain stones or alignments may have been reserved for leaders, priests, or other figures of authority, while communal gatherings reinforce shared identity and social norms. The act of assembling at these monuments, observing their alignments, and performing rituals served to consolidate power and transmit cultural values. By integrating social structure, spiritual practice, and practical knowledge into one enduring monument, these communities created a framework for societal continuity that was both flexible and resilient. The stones became silent enforcers of order, mediators between human ambition and natural reality. Perhaps most striking is the way megaliths embody the tension between permanence and impermanence, between human fragility and stone's endurance. Daily life continued. Generations were born and died. Civilizations rose and fell. Yet the stones remained, witnessing continuity and change alike. They absorbed meaning from each interaction, from labor, ritual, and observation. Growing more than just physically old, they became repositories of human experience. Their silent presence invites reflection on the ephemeral nature of life and the desire to create something lasting, something that connects past, present, and future. In this sense, megaliths are both historical record and spiritual anchor, bridging the tangible and intangible, the temporal and the eternal. Through this lens, the audience is invited to see megaliths not as inert relics, but as active participants in human history. They shaped the rhythms of life, guided understanding of natural cycles, and offered a canvas for imagination, devotion, and identity. The stone's endurance is a mirror of human resilience, revealing the interplay of culture, environment, and ingenuity. As we explore these monuments, we are led to consider the subtle intelligence embedded in their placement, the ceremonial practices that sustain them, and the profound ways in which ancient humans engaged with the world around them. In doing so, we prepare to transition toward understanding the broader mysteries these stones hold, including the unresolved questions of origin, purpose, and cosmic alignment that continue to fascinate both scholars and dreamers alike. Beneath the quiet surface of these ancient megaliths lies a story of resilience written not in human hands alone, but in the very essence of the earth itself. Each massive stone, towering against the sky or lining an ancient pathway, carries a hidden history of formation that stretches back millions of years. To the casual observer, a megalith may appear as a static object, inert and silent. Yet every grain of its structure, every microscopic fracture, every layer of mineral deposits tells a story of endurance, of survival against forces far greater than human comprehension. It is here, at the intersection of geology and human endeavor, that the mystery deepens. How did humans, with the tools of prehistory, select stones capable of resisting the full might of time, climate, and catastrophe? Most of the megaliths that have captured our imagination are composed of igneous or metamorphic rocks, granite, basalt, and diorite among them. These are stones formed under immense pressure deep within the earth, their crystalline structures tight, interlocked, and unusually resistant to erosion. Granite, for instance, forms from slowly cooled magma, creating a dense lattice of quartz, feldspar, and mica. This lattice is one reason why granite has endured the centuries where softer rocks, like limestone or sandstone, crumble with a century's rain. Basalt, forged from volcanic lava, presents a different kind of endurance, a resilience born of rapid cooling, a structure that absorbs impact and resists fracturing. In essence, the stones themselves carry a natural memory of survival, a record of planetary extremes long before humans walked the earth. Geologists have long marveled at how ancient builders seem to intuitively select the most resilient materials for their monuments. It is one thing to carve a shape from soft limestone. It is another to transport and erect a multi-ton block of granite or basalt. Experiments in material science today demonstrate the staggering effort required, but the megaliths themselves speak of precision. Many show remarkably smooth surfaces, clean edges, and an almost intentional alignment to natural stress points, suggesting that ancient builders understood not only the physical properties of stone, but also how it would react to gravity, wind, and seismic activity. It is as though the earth itself had conspired with its human caretakers to ensure the survival of these structures. Weathering, that slow, inexorable force that wears down cliffs and monuments alike, has left striking evidence of endurance. Some stones bear faint erosion marks, yet they stand firm, resisting centuries of wind, rain, frost, and sun. In regions prone to seismic activity, entire walls or columns of megalithic sites remain upright even after catastrophic earthquakes that have flattened surrounding structures. Scientists studying sites in the Mediterranean, in Japan, and along the Pacific Ring of Fire note the same phenomenon. The megalith's durability is not accidental. Their placement often takes advantage of bedrock stability, natural contours, and drainage patterns, an intricate understanding of the environment that modern engineers would recognize and respect. Beyond material choice and placement, there is also the phenomenon of thermal resilience. Many stones expand and contract with temperature shifts, causing microfractures that can eventually destabilize structures. Yet the great megaliths seem to have been positioned or designed in ways that minimize thermal stress. Some surfaces face north or east, shielding from the harshest sun, while others are placed to allow subtle airflow, reducing moisture buildup and frost penetration. The precision is remarkable, especially considering that these civilizations had no written scientific formulas to guide them. Instead, they relied on observation, trial, and perhaps a wisdom passed down through generations. Interestingly, studies of megalithic sites reveal that certain stones were deliberately dressed to absorb environmental stress. Some surfaces show a slight curvature, an almost imperceptible taper that deflects wind and rain. Others have been polished or etched with grooves, creating microchannels for water to run off rather than seep into the stone. The question arises, was this purely practical, or was there an aesthetic or spiritual intention intertwined with survival? In any case, the combination of material selection, careful shaping, and strategic placement has ensured that these structures remain largely intact, even when other parts of the same civilization have vanished into dust. The endurance of megaliths also prompts reflection on scale. While the choice of stone is crucial, the sheer mass of the blocks themselves contributes to stability. Large stones have a kind of inertia that smaller structures lack. They absorb and dissipate energy from storms, quakes, and floods in ways smaller constructions cannot. Yet this does not diminish the marvel of human effort required to move and position such weights. From quarries, sometimes located miles away, to ceremonial sites atop hills or across rivers, the builders harnessed physics long before Newton articulated its laws. It is a silent testament to observation, intuition, and perhaps an early form of engineering genius. Still, no scientific explanation can fully account for the aura of permanence that surrounds these stones. They endure not just physically, but symbolically, as if standing guard over centuries of forgotten history. When researchers analyze the chemical composition of the stones, they find additional clues. Some minerals within the rocks naturally resist moss, lichens, and other biological wear. The builders may have discovered these properties empirically, choosing not just the strongest stones, but the most enduring in every sense, resistant to time, nature, and decay. It is a convergence of chance, knowledge, and meticulous care that renders these structures so enigmatic. In contemplating the science of stone endurance, one must also consider the role of the landscape itself. Many megaliths are placed on elevated terraces, bedrock outcrops, or sloping plains where natural drainage prevents water accumulation. Others are situated in valleys shielded from prevailing winds. The subtle relationship between the environment and the stone is as much a part of their survival as the composition of the rocks themselves. This delicate harmony between human intention and natural design gives the megaliths a sense of inevitability, as if they were always meant to endure the millennia. Ultimately, the study of stone endurance reveals both answers and further mysteries. Science can explain why these stones resist decay, why they survive earthquakes, and how environmental factors interact with human craftsmanship. Yet the very precision with which these stones were selected, shaped, and arranged hints at knowledge that was extraordinary, even by modern standards. Each megalith becomes a silent narrator, bridging the past and the present, whispering of human ingenuity, resilience, and an intimate understanding of the earth itself. As we stand before these monuments, we cannot help but wonder. Were they built merely to endure, or were they designed to teach, to inspire, to echo through time as a testament to a civilization that understood the fragility and the strength of both humanity and nature? As one gazes upon the towering megaliths scattered across continents, a quiet, unsettling question arises. How did humans, thousands of years ago, move and position stones that today defy our most sophisticated machinery? Modern engineering can replicate some feats of ancient builders, yet many aspects remain inexplicably precise. Each monument seems to carry a memory of lost knowledge, a skill set that time has buried, leaving only whispers in stone. The paradox is compelling. We marvel at these structures not merely for their size or endurance, but for the invisible intelligence encoded within every massive block. Consider the weight of a single megalith, tens, sometimes hundreds of tons. Transporting such a stone without wheels or draft animals capable of bearing that weight seems inconceivable. Ancient writers sometimes describe ramps, sledges, and sheer human labor, yet the elegance of certain placements suggests more than brute force. Some stones are fitted so tightly together that even a razor blade cannot slip between them. Others align perfectly with astronomical events, hinting at a level of surveying and calculation that modern archaeologists struggle to reproduce. The question arises, did these civilizations possess techniques or tools now lost to history? Or were their methods rooted in subtle observations, harnessing natural forces in ways we no longer understand? One theory explores the possibility of forgotten mechanical innovations. Some researchers suggest that ancient societies may have used levers, rollers, and counterweights far more sophisticated than the rudimentary tools we traditionally associate with prehistory. Experimental archaeology has recreated small-scale models showing that, with ingenuity and patience, massive stones can be moved using ropes, pulleys, and inclined planes. Yet even the most optimistic simulations fail to capture the scale, speed, and precision witnessed in sites like Baalbek, Stonehenge, or the Moai of Easter Island. It is as though the builders possessed an instinctive mastery over forces and angles, guiding colossal weights in a place with a combination of intuition and exacting skill. Beyond the mechanical, there is speculation that certain civilizations understood properties of stone itself in ways modern science is only beginning to grasp. Some stones appear to have been cut with such smoothness that they suggest techniques surpassing chisels and hammers. Across different regions, archaeologists have observed similar tool marks, precise angles, and perfectly flattened surfaces on stones separated by thousands of miles. Could there have been a universal knowledge, a shared understanding of material physics, lost as civilizations fell? Or was this the result of convergent ingenuity, a remarkable alignment of human observation and trial across cultures and centuries? Some fringe theories posit even more radical possibilities. Vibrations, sound, or other forms of energy might have been used to manipulate massive stones. While unproven by mainstream science, these ideas speak to the profound sense of wonder inspired by megalithic sites. The builder's ability to achieve exact placements, often atop hills, across rivers, or on uneven terrain, suggests a level of sophistication that has baffled engineers for centuries. What remains certain is that these people possessed knowledge, practical, precise, and effective, that we no longer fully comprehend. Each monument is a testament to lost genius, echoing silently across millennia. The question of measurement and surveying is equally compelling. Ancient sites often demonstrate a meticulous understanding of geometry and alignment. Some stones form perfect circles, others are arranged in intricate patterns that correspond with celestial bodies. Without compasses, protractors, or modern mathematics, these civilizations achieved astonishing accuracy. Scholars have found that certain sites exhibit knowledge of the golden ratio, Pythagorean principles, or geometric harmonics far earlier than previously documented. This blend of practicality and aesthetics, functionality and beauty, implies a worldview in which human hands worked not only with nature, but in harmony with the cosmos. Could this knowledge, refined over generations, have been carefully preserved in techniques and rituals that ultimately faded into obscurity? One cannot overlook the possibility that much of this knowledge was deliberately lost or hidden. As civilizations rose and fell, knowledge of ancient techniques may have been restricted to small priesthoods, master builders, or secret guilds. Cataclysmic events, invasions, or cultural collapses could have erased libraries, oral traditions, and apprenticeship systems. What survives in stone is but a fragment of a much broader understanding. It is a haunting reflection on the fragility of human memory. Civilizations that lasted millennia may leave behind structures more enduring than the knowledge that built them. The endurance of these stones also points toward experimentation and observation over generations. Builders may have learned through trial and error, gradually refining methods that balanced weight, leverage, and geometry. Certain sites show evidence of scaffolding, counterweights, or intricate leveling systems that are subtle enough to be overlooked until carefully studied. In some cases, the precision achieved suggests standardized measurements, a shared system that allowed multiple generations of builders to work in harmony across years, or even decades. These monuments are not mere isolated feats. They are the culmination of a collective intelligence now lost to time. Yet the mystery persists. Why would civilizations invest such extraordinary effort in stones whose purpose is partly lost to us? Some scholars argue for spiritual or ritual significance, a desire to connect with the cosmos, the ancestors, or the divine. Others speculate that megaliths served as markers, warnings, or even repositories of knowledge encoded in stone itself. Regardless of purpose, the sheer technical achievement hints at a profound understanding of physical law, one that may have surpassed what we recognize in the modern era. Every perfectly placed block, every unyielding column, is an invitation to contemplate not just human skill, but human aspiration. Perhaps the greatest wonder lies in the enduring silence of these stones. Unlike manuscripts or artifacts, the knowledge they embody cannot be read directly. It must be inferred, studied, and felt. Each site carries a rhythm of human endeavor. The careful placement of stone, the alignment with sun and stars, the subtle adjustments that allow endurance across centuries. In this silence, the question lingers: what other knowledge once flowed through human hands, guiding them to feats we can scarcely imagine? These monuments are not merely relics. They are echoes, vibrations of intelligence, and creativity that have survived every upheaval of history. As modern observers, we are left to wonder, how much have we lost, and how much remains hidden in plain sight? The megaliths challenge our assumptions about prehistoric societies, forcing us to reconsider what humans can achieve when ingenuity, observation, and necessity converge. Science can uncover many details, the geology, the physics, the mechanics, but the full picture eludes us. Somewhere between documented skill and intuitive mastery lies the forgotten knowledge of ancient builders, a wisdom that allowed them to move, place, and preserve stone in ways that continue to inspire awe and curiosity. In the quiet of these sites, a subtle lesson emerges. Lost knowledge, while physically absent, can resonate through the monuments themselves, reminding us that human potential often extends beyond what is recorded, written, or remembered. The megaliths endure as both a challenge and a guide, bridging the gap between what we understand and what remains tantalizingly out of reach. They invite us to listen, to observe, and to wonder. If past civilizations achieved such mastery with tools and resources far more limited than our own, what possibilities might still lie ahead if we pay attention to the subtle, enduring lessons etched into the earth itself? Beyond their physical endurance and technical precision, megaliths hold a quieter, subtler mystery. The resonance of spirit, intention, and geometry that seems woven into their very placement. As one stands before these towering stones, a sense of harmony emerges, a rhythm that transcends human scale and speaks directly to perception, to intuition, to something older and deeper than language. The arrangement of stones often follows patterns that are more than functional. They are deliberate, symbolic, and deeply connected to natural and cosmic rhythms. Sacred geometry, the mathematical and symbolic principles that underpin the structures, appears almost everywhere, from the circular enclosures of Stonehenge to the linear alignments of the Karnak stones, suggesting that the builders perceived a language of harmony embedded in the world itself. Many megalithic sites exhibit ratios, angles, and spatial relationships that correspond to patterns found in nature. Spirals, circles, and triangles recur, mirroring the forms of seashells, river bends, and celestial cycles. Some align with the rising and setting of the sun on solstices, the phases of the moon, or the cycles of prominent stars. These alignments are neither random nor purely decorative. They indicate a worldview where time, space, and matter were understood as interconnected, where the physical arrangement of stone could mirror or even influence the rhythms of the cosmos. Observing these patterns instills a profound sense of order and intentionality, a reminder that these ancient builders were not simply erecting monuments, but composing instruments of resonance that bridge the human and the divine. This resonance is not only symbolic, it may have been functional. Some researchers suggest that the placement of stones in specific geometrical patterns could enhance acoustics, focus sound, or amplify subtle vibrations. Certain ceremonial sites may have been designed to carry chants, drumming, or ritualized sounds across vast spaces, creating an immersive experience that connected participants with their environment and perhaps with the cycles of the heavens themselves. Walking among these stones, one can almost imagine the low vibrations reverberating through the earth, the stones themselves amplifying ritual and intention. It is a quiet, haunting demonstration of how geometry, perception, and spiritual practice can converge in ways that survive millennia. Sacred geometry also reflects a philosophical dimension. It embodies the notion that the world has a hidden order, a structure that humans can perceive and honor. Circles symbolize unity, infinity, and the cyclical nature of time. Squares represent balance and earthly stability. Spirals suggest growth, evolution, and the movement of energy through the cosmos. By embedding these forms in monumental stone arrangements, ancient builders were not merely decorating space. They were communicating ideas about existence, continuity, and the human place within the universe. These geometric patterns are a language without words, a dialogue between humanity and the cosmos written in enduring stone. The spiritual significance of megaliths is also evident in the cultural practices associated with them. Many sites show evidence of ritual activity, offerings, carved symbols, and alignments with sacred natural features such as rivers, mountains, or groves. This connection to the landscape reflects a worldview in which the sacred was not confined to temples or altars, but was integrated into the natural world itself. The stones were touchpoints, anchors for human consciousness, linking the mortal to the eternal. The careful placement and orientation of megaliths suggest a profound sensitivity to both earthly and celestial cycles, implying that builders sought to harmonize human activity with the greater rhythms of nature. One cannot help but notice the interplay between the visible and the invisible. While the stones are solid, permanent, and unyielding, the geometry, alignment, and spiritual significance are intangible. They are concepts, sensations, and experiences that transcend physical measurement. The sacredness of these sites is not fully captured by archaeological surveys or structural analysis. It emerges in the act of presence, in the awareness of scale, pattern, and alignment. Walking through these spaces, the observer senses something beyond the material, an echo of thought, intention, and reverence carried forward through millennia. Some scholars suggest that sacred geometry and megaliths serve as a bridge between earthly and cosmic knowledge. By embedding numerical and spatial relationships into monuments, builders may have encoded calendars, astronomical data, or cosmological principles accessible only through observation over time. The patterns could have guided agricultural cycles, ceremonial events, or social organization. This integration of knowledge and symbolism illustrates a worldview in which science, art, and spirituality were not separate, but intertwined. The stones themselves became instruments of learning and memory, capable of carrying subtle truths across generations, even when written language had not yet emerged or had been lost. What is perhaps most striking is the universality of these geometric principles. Across continents, distant cultures created structures that follow similar ratios, angles, and alignments, despite having no known contact. From the ringed enclosures of Europe to the linear stone alignments in Africa and Asia, the recurrence of these patterns points to a shared human perception of order and harmony. This universality suggests that sacred geometry is not merely a cultural artifact, but a reflection of the human mind's capacity to perceive and honor patterns in the natural world, a timeless language, quietly inscribed in stone. Yet the true mystery lies not only in the geometry itself, but in the intention behind it. We can measure angles, chart alignments, and analyze patterns, but the emotional, spiritual, and cultural resonance of these sites cannot be fully quantified. The builders imbued the stones with significance, creating spaces that resonate with rhythm, symbolism, and cosmic awareness. In doing so, they crafted not only enduring monuments but experiences, encounters with scale, alignment, and intention that continue to inspire awe. Each circle, line, or spiral is a doorway to reflection, a silent meditation that bridges centuries, inviting observers to contemplate their place within a larger, interconnected cosmos. Ultimately, the sacred geometry of megaliths reminds us that human understanding has always been a blend of observation, intuition, and reverence. The stones endure physically, yet they also endure spiritually, carrying the echoes of intention, ceremony, and cosmic awareness. By studying and visiting these monuments, we encounter a dual narrative, one of precise human achievement and another of subtle, enduring connection to the forces of the universe. It is in this interplay between matter and meaning, structure and spirit, that the megaliths reveal some of their deepest truths, inviting modern observers to pause, listen, and attune themselves to the timeless rhythm of stone and cosmos. Time, for all its persistence, is also a subtle eraser. Across centuries, landscapes change, civilizations rise and fall, and even the most monumental constructions can vanish from collective memory. Many megalithic sites, once central to the societies that built them, were gradually abandoned, overgrown, or buried beneath layers of earth, vegetation, and sediment. In some cases, rivers shifted course, deserts expanded, or forests reclaimed the terrain, concealing what had taken generations to construct. Stones that had witnessed millennia of human activity became silent, hidden sentinels, their purpose obscured and their creators forgotten. The disappearance of these sites is a poignant reminder that even the most enduring monuments are not immune to the slow sweep of history and nature. Rediscovery often arrives in fragments. A shepherd noticing a peculiar arrangement of stones, a farmer unearthing massive blocks while plowing, or explorers documenting faint traces along hillsides and riverbanks. Unlike modern constructions, megaliths rarely announce themselves. They are subtle, integrated into their surroundings, requiring attention, patience, and curiosity to perceive. Early rediscoveries in Europe, for instance, revealed massive stones partially buried beneath soil, their original purpose obscured by centuries of myth and neglect. In other regions like South America or Africa, colonial records, travelers' accounts, or local oral traditions provided only faint hints, leaving archaeologists to piece together a narrative from fragments of memory, folklore, and the stones themselves. The process of rediscovery is never merely technical. It is also a deeply human experience, one that combines wonder, reverence, and the thrill of uncovering lost history. Archaeologists, historians, and explorers often describe a moment of quiet all upon encountering these stones for the first time, an instinctive recognition that they are in the presence of something much larger than human scale, something enduring and enigmatic. Over time, the act of studying these monuments has become as much about reconnecting with humanity's collective past as about scientific documentation. Each site rediscovered offers a bridge to vanished cultures, allowing us to touch, quite literally, the work of hands long gone and minds whose methods remain largely inscrutable. Rediscovery also exposes the delicate balance between preservation and vulnerability. While the stones themselves endure, the context around them, cultural, environmental, and social, may not. Modern development, agriculture, and tourism can threaten the very sites that survived millennia of natural forces. Yet the act of rediscovery often sparks efforts to protect, study, and restore these sites, allowing their stories to be shared with new generations. It is in these moments of re-encounter that we are reminded how fragile our connection to the past truly is, even when the structures themselves appear immovable. Intriguingly, the rediscovery of megaliths often prompts reinterpretation of local history. Sites that had been dismissed as mere curiosities or natural formations are gradually recognized as sophisticated constructions with profound cultural, spiritual, or astronomical significance. Stone circles, dolmens, and monolithic temples that were once overlooked gain new life in research and scholarship, gradually revealing the intelligence, intention, and cosmological awareness of their creators. In this way, rediscovery is not only about finding lost stones, it is about recovering lost knowledge, insight, and the quiet, enduring dialogue between humans and their environment. The emotional resonance of rediscovery cannot be overstated. There is a subtle, almost meditative quality in observing stones that have silently withstood centuries, waiting patiently for attention, for recognition, for a story to be told. Each rediscovered site carries the weight of absence. The civilizations that vanished, the rituals that ceased, the human experiences that faded. Yet it also carries the possibility of connection, a bridge across time that allows modern observers to feel, reflect, and imagine the lives of those who once walked among the same stones. Rediscovery is both an unveiling and a reminder that even in apparent disappearance, traces endure, waiting for the patient, observant eye to uncover them. Finally, rediscovery invites contemplation of the cycles of human memory and forgetfulness. Some megaliths remain hidden for millennia, only to re-emerge at a moment when society is ready to understand, interpret, and marvel. The stones themselves are indifferent to time, yet human attention is fleeting and selective. Through rediscovery, we glimpse the persistence of cultural expression, the interplay of loss and reclamation, and the enduring dialogue between humans and the earth. It is a quiet, reflective lesson. Permanence is not always visible, and knowledge may endure silently, waiting for rediscovery to awaken it once more. Once rediscovered, megaliths became catalysts for conversation, interpretation, and sometimes controversy. Scholars, archaeologists, and enthusiasts across the world began to examine these enduring stones not only as historical artifacts, but as windows into human ingenuity, belief, and the mysteries of the ancient mind. Each site invites questions that straddle the boundaries of science, spirituality, and imagination. What was the purpose of these enormous constructions? How were they built? And why do so many patterns, alignments, and construction techniques appear in cultures separated by thousands of miles and centuries? Modern interpretations attempt to bridge the tangible and the intangible, yet the debates themselves underscore the enduring enigma. In mainstream archaeology, megaliths are often framed within the context of cultural and social development. Researchers analyze the sites as products of organized labor, complex societal hierarchies, and ritualistic practices. From this perspective, monumental stones represent the collective effort of a community, an expression of faith, or an instrument for marking astronomical events. Archaeologists compare evidence of tools, quarries, and local resources to reconstruct plausible methods of construction and alignment. This approach emphasizes the incredible capabilities of prehistoric humans without invoking extraordinary or supernatural explanations. It celebrates ingenuity grounded in observation, trial, and a deep understanding of materials and environment. Yet alongside mainstream interpretations exists a spectrum of alternative perspectives, ranging from the speculative to the provocative. Some theorists suggest that megalithic structures encode advanced knowledge that has since been lost, hinting at technologies or engineering techniques that modern science struggles to replicate. Others propose that ancient builders possessed an awareness of celestial mechanics or even vibrational energy that allowed them to manipulate stone in ways still not fully understood. While such ideas are often debated or dismissed in academic circles, they persist because the sheer scale, precision, and consistency of megalithic sites defy easy explanation. These debates keep the mystery alive, reminding observers that human history is neither simple nor fully known. One of the most intriguing aspects of these modern debates is the global similarity of megalithic constructions. Across continents, we see circular enclosures, towering standing stones, and precisely aligned monuments, despite the apparent lack of direct contact between cultures. This raises questions about convergent evolution of ideas, the universality of human perception, or perhaps the transmission of knowledge in ways we have yet to fully comprehend. Some researchers argue that this points to shared cognitive patterns, fundamental ways humans perceive space, time, and the cosmos. Others speculate that these similarities may indicate a more enigmatic connection between distant societies, though such claims remain controversial. Another recurring theme in modern discussion revolves around purpose. Were megaliths purely ceremonial, markers of sacred space, or practical tools for observing and predicting celestial events? Perhaps they served multiple roles simultaneously, as memorials, calendars, spiritual conduits, and expressions of collective identity. This layered interpretation reflects a broader understanding of ancient societies, which often integrated the spiritual, practical, and social into every aspect of daily life. Modern researchers continue to debate, refine, and sometimes challenge these ideas, illustrating how megaliths function as catalysts for intellectual curiosity as much as objects of study. Importantly, modern interpretations also reflect our own time and perspective. How we study, understand, and even romanticize these structures reveals as much about contemporary thought as it does about ancient builders. Enthusiasts may see echoes of lost civilizations, while archaeologists focus on empirical evidence. Both approaches, in their own way, are attempts to reconcile the mystery of endurance with the human desire for comprehension. The debate is as much philosophical as it is scientific. Megaliths compel us to confront the limits of knowledge and the tension between what can be explained and what remains inexplicable. Through these discussions, one truth becomes clear. The enduring fascination with megaliths is not simply about their size or antiquity. It is about the mystery they embody, the gap between human curiosity and human understanding. These stones challenge assumptions about our ancestors' capabilities, spark reflection on the fragility and persistence of knowledge, and invite contemplation of the unseen forces, social, spiritual, or perhaps even natural, that shaped them. Modern debates are, in essence, a continuation of the dialogue that these monuments began thousands of years ago, linking past and present in an ongoing exploration of purpose, skill, and wonder. In the quiet observation of these enduring stones, we recognize that interpretation itself is a mirror of human curiosity. Every theory, whether firmly grounded in evidence or hovering at the edge of speculation, illuminates a part of the story of ingenuity, faith, survival, and the desire to connect with something greater than ourselves. Megaliths endure not only as physical testaments, but as philosophical and cultural provocations, reminding us that some mysteries are meant to be explored, pondered, and, perhaps, never fully solved. Standing before the megaliths, one is struck not only by their physical presence, but by the quiet lessons they seem to offer. These stones, enduring through millennia of storms, earthquakes, and human change, remind us of the impermanence of our own creations. Cities crumble, empires vanish, and knowledge is forgotten, yet the stones remain, a patient testimony to the enduring interplay between human intention and the forces of nature. In this, there's a subtle invitation to reflect not on what we control, but on what endures and on the care, foresight, and perseverance required to create something meant to last. The first lesson is one of patience. The builders of these megaliths worked with tools far simpler than our own, yet their vision spanned generations. They understood that true endurance required planning, persistence, and a long view of time. Each stone was carefully selected, transported, and placed with intention, requiring a deep understanding of materials, environment, and geometry. In our modern age, where speed often triumphs over deliberation, the megaliths whisper a quiet reminder. Some of the most meaningful accomplishments emerge not from haste, but from meticulous care and thoughtful effort. Second, the stones teach resilience. They have witnessed floods that reshaped valleys, earthquakes that toppled villages, and the slow, unyielding erosion of wind and rain. Yet they stand, defying time, a silent testament to the combination of natural durability and human insight. Their endurance is a metaphor for survival, how structures, ideas, and even relationships persist when built on a foundation of understanding and harmony with the world around them. They suggest that resilience is not simply a matter of strength, but of balance, of aligning effort with natural forces rather than opposing them, of respecting both material and environment. There is also a lesson of vision. The builders were not merely reacting to their present. They were thinking far into the future. They positioned stones in alignment with celestial events, designed spaces that engaged both the eye and the spirit, and created patterns that resonate even today. This foresight illustrates the power of imagination coupled with knowledge. It reminds us that our actions today may echo far into the future, and that by considering long-term consequences, we can create work, art, and structures that communicate across time. In this, the stones serve as mentors, quietly instructing us to think beyond ourselves, beyond our immediate moment, and to consider the legacy we leave behind. The megaliths also teach us about harmony. Their alignment with natural landscapes, celestial movements, and each other demonstrates an understanding of interconnectedness. These were not isolated projects. They were woven into the fabric of the earth, sky, and human society. By observing this, we are reminded that human activity does not exist in isolation. True achievement requires attentiveness to context, to relationships, and to the unseen forces that influence the outcome of our efforts. The stones embody an elegant principle. Endurance is strengthened when we work in harmony with the world rather than imposing upon it. Perhaps most profoundly, the stones invite humility. They confront us with the limitations of knowledge, technology, and perception. Despite all our advancements, there remain questions about how they were constructed, why they were placed where they are, and what deeper meanings they may encode. This humility is not a discouragement, but a call to curiosity, a reminder that some mysteries may never be fully solved, and yet the pursuit of understanding is itself valuable. In this, the stones encourage a reflective approach to life, one that balances inquiry with reverence, questioning with patience. These lessons extend beyond physical construction to the human experience itself. The stones remind us of the endurance of culture, memory, and intention. They suggest that acts of care, vision, and connection, though perhaps invisible in the short term, can resonate across centuries. Just as the builders left messages in stone, we too leave traces in the world, in the way we create, in the relationships we nurture, and in the knowledge we share. The megaliths, in their quiet majesty, offer a meditation on legacy. What we construct today, whether tangible or intangible, may be the echo that future generations encounter long after we are gone. Finally, the stones teach the power of presence. To stand among them is to feel time differently, to sense the weight of history, the passage of generations, and the quiet persistence of human intention. In this presence, we are invited to slow down, to observe, and to reflect on our place within the broader currents of time. They encourage mindfulness, a recognition of the impermanence of life, and an appreciation for what can endure when effort is paired with understanding, intention, and care. In contemplating these ancient stones, we are reminded that endurance is not merely a matter of survival, but of resonance. The megaliths endure because they embody knowledge, intention, and harmony, silently conveying lessons that extend far beyond their material form. They invite us to cultivate patience, resilience, foresight, harmony, humility, and presence in our own lives. In doing so, we participate in a dialogue across time, joining hands, in spirit, with those who built these monuments and with the generations yet to come who will stand in their shadow. The stones, steadfast and silent, teach us to live with intention, to act with care, and to honor the delicate, enduring threads that connect humanity across the ages. As the sun dips behind distant hills and the sky deepens into twilight, the megaliths stand in quiet reverence, their silhouettes casting long, contemplative shadows over the land. There's a stillness here that feels eternal, a sense that the stones themselves have witnessed epochs beyond imagination. They have endured floods, quakes, fires, and the relentless erosion of wind and rain. Yet beyond mere survival, they carry a resonance, a subtle echo of human aspiration, ingenuity, and devotion. Standing among them, one senses not only the weight of stone, but the weight of history itself, a continuum stretching from those who built them to the generations who came after, and to those who will arrive long after we have faded. In this quietude, one begins to perceive a dialogue that transcends time. The stones speak not in words, but in presence, in alignment, in a subtle perfection of placement that defies casual explanation. Their geometry, their integration with landscape and sky, and their endurance through natural and human upheaval become a form of silent storytelling. Each monolith carries the memory of the hands that carved, lifted, and positioned it, of the eyes that measured the stars and the hearts that imbued the work with purpose. These echoes of intention remind us that human effort, when coupled with reverence for the natural world and attention to precision, can leave traces that endure far beyond our own lifetimes. The passage of time is palpable in these stones. Centuries, even millennia, seem to fold into the present as we observe the patterns, alignments, and surfaces smoothed by age yet unbroken in form. The megaliths remind us that permanence is not the product of might alone, but of harmony between human vision and natural resilience. They invite reflection on our own lives, the ephemeral nature of daily concerns, the fleeting impact of individual actions, and the enduring potential of intentional, thoughtful endeavor. They teach patience, for time is both a sculptor and a witness, shaping and observing in equal measure. There is also a profound humility in their presence. No matter how much knowledge we accumulate, how much technology we develop, the mystery of their construction, purpose, and meaning remains partly unresolved. Even with modern science, the exact methods of transportation, placement, and alignment elude complete understanding. This humility is a gentle reminder that some truths exist beyond human comprehension, and yet the pursuit of understanding itself is valuable. In their silence, the megaliths encourage contemplation, not conclusion, observation, not certainty. They remind us that mystery is not a void to be filled, but a space in which curiosity, wonder, and reflection can flourish. Walking among the stones, one begins to feel a connection not only to the builders but to the cosmos itself. Celestial alignments, the rhythms of sun and moon, and the interplay with landscape suggest that the megaliths were conceived with a deep awareness of cycles, patterns, and natural forces. They evoke a sense of interconnectedness, bridging human effort and the universe's vast order. Standing there, the mind can drift gently through time, imagining ancient rituals, the passage of seasons, and the generations who revered these stones long before our own existence. There is a meditative cadence in this reflection, a quiet rhythm that lulls the senses and opens the imagination to the vastness of history and the subtle continuity of life. The echoes through time are not merely historical or architectural. They're emotional and spiritual. We sense the intentions of those who built these monuments, the desire to mark existence, honor the cosmos, or leave messages for posterity. Even if the meaning has been partially lost, the presence of these structures conveys persistence, care, and aspiration. They are enduring reminders that human effort can extend beyond the immediacy of life, creating legacies that touch countless others, long after the builders have returned to dust. In this, the megaliths serve as guides, teaching the value of foresight, discipline, and a quiet, patient form of creativity that honors both material and immaterial worlds. As darkness settles, one can imagine the stones standing beneath the stars, aligned to celestial rhythms, resonating with forces both visible and unseen. They seem to breathe with the wind, to shift imperceptibly with the earth, and yet remain steadfast, a paradox of motion and permanence. This quiet resilience mirrors the human experience. Change is inevitable, yet some aspects of intention, care, and wisdom endure, carried forward in structures, ideas, and the subtle impressions we leave upon the world. The stones remind us that we are both fragile and capable, transient and eternal, fleeting yet connected to a larger narrative that stretches across time. In the end, the meditation is simple yet profound. The megaliths invite us to slow our pace, quiet our minds, and consider the depth and breadth of human endeavor. They remind us of the lessons of patience, resilience, vision, harmony, humility, and presence. They speak to us across millennia, not demanding answers but offering reflection, insight, and a gentle invitation to connect with something larger than ourselves. Each visitor, observer, or student of these stones becomes part of the continuum, linking past, present, and future in an unbroken chain of awareness and reverence. As we leave their shadows, the echoes linger. The mind carries the quiet rhythm of stone, the harmony of geometry and landscape, and the resonance of human intention across time. The megaliths endure, silently witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations, and through them, we are reminded that while life is fleeting, thought, care, and creation can transcend it. The stones, steadfast yet serene, stand as eternal companions in reflection, guardians of memory, and quiet teachers of the enduring spirit of humanity. In their stillness, we find a gentle guidance to act with purpose, to honor the natural and the eternal, and to recognize that the echoes of our own lives, like these stones, may reach far into the future, whispering across time, waiting to be heard.